Danger Dolan. So the idea of a sequel to WoW, that's dicey. There's a hard rule that if you make an online RPG sequel using the same world and characters, especially if it's subscription based, then you must retain the rewards and accomplishments from the previous game. Alright, imagine this. Tomorrow, WoW 2 is about to be released with shinier graphics, tons of new content, and engine improvements all over the place. But wait, you have to level your main character from level 1 all over again with no achievements, mounts, pets, or gear preserved from WoW. Sure, you might scoff, as if I would even care. But Smelly Joe is sitting across from you with his laptop, leveling through a 4K resolution Unreal Engine rendition of Elwyn Forest, and he's kind of bored. Why bother getting rid of 9 years worth of account progress just so he can look at some fancier graphics? That's the question here. Why bother making a sequel to WoW when, as Vanarus notes here, you can upgrade the game's engine through patches and expansions? What possible rationality can we carve out of our skulls to justify the creation of WoW's successor? So I've touched on the topic of Blizzard's future projects in 2 separate videos, Project Titan and Warcraft 4 discussion. And I want to make it clear that this video is going to be a bit shorter because I've taken a firm stance that there's only 2 possible reasons I could see a WoW version 2 getting released. Firstly, it would need to be following WoW's decline, or its death if I might be so bold. Running the 2 competing Warcraft games parallel to each other would make 0 sense if you're already paying a subscription fee every month, or even if both were free to play. You've obviously sunk microtransaction fees into one game, so why would you split your own player base? Furthermore, we've spent so long in Azeroth that people need a break. If you think about it, following Warcraft 2 came StarCraft, then Warcraft 3, then StarCraft 2. But we've had expansion after expansion for the same game, so I would much rather see Project Titan take over than a WoW 2. And secondly, the world needs to be set either far in the future, the past, or after some huge catastrophe that destroys pretty much the whole world. Under no circumstances do I want another Azeroth revamp in WoW 2, it needs to go beyond that. I want all current storylines and locations removed like the Old Republic does for the Star Wars films. Retain the common themes and art style, but build a new Azeroth with little to no reference to the old one. Now, if you did both of these things to release it after WoW has finished and with a clean sweep for story and environment, then sure, sign me up. Now, if you're not familiar with the rise and fall of Everquest 2, allow me to regale you with a brief story. Once upon a time, Everquest came out as one of the very first big MMORPGs to hit the market. It was mostly simplistic, kill monsters, do some quests, get gear at level cap. But then in 2004, Everquest 2 was released, and it came out 3 weeks before Vanilla WoW. It was a bit of a showdown actually. Everquest already had a sizable audience, and WoW had the Warcraft 3 fanbase ready to dig their teeth into the next big hotness. Everquest 2 came with a live orchestra soundtrack, hundreds of hours of voice acting, realistic graphics, tons of playable races, no race restrictions, and gorgeous artwork. By all accounts, it should have been a strong contender in the massively multiplayer online arms race. But one of the main problems it had was that a lot of the original Everquest player base, right, they did not migrate to Everquest 2. So when you started playing EQ2, there was not enough players and they were stretched over way too many servers, which led to just ghost towns. And most of the content required groups, so that created widespread frustration. Sony had to make cutbacks on the development teams, which made the expansion start to suck ass. The new ones lost voiceovers, the live music and cinematic cutscenes. And all of this could have been avoided if they just expanded the first game instead of creating a sloppy sequel. Now, a game like Guild Wars that managed to successfully create a sequel with its Hall of Monuments carrying over achievements and turning them into suitable rewards, though I'd argue that since it doesn't employ a subscription model, it doesn't technically count. I'm sure it's possible to release an expansion that uses an entirely new engine and have it do well, but only if said expansion carries over everything from the original game, to just treat it as a major game update. But then that begs the question, why even do it? Would it draw on more players? Would it satisfy your current ones? I mean, considering how much time you have to spend actually making it, Would the effort justify the time? The Starting Zone podcast recently interviewed technical director Marco Coegla about the very topic of WoW 2, see the link below, and his answer basically sums up as, there's 9 years worth of art assets in WoW, and if we were to make a WoW 2, then we'd have to rebuild every single one. So we're just better off iterating on what we have. And I'll be honest, it is very easy to agree with him, because at the end of the day, the only changes I can personally find that would constitute a WoW sequel would be to do with the engine and graphical limitations, right? So long as people are subscribed, expansions are released, content is revamped, the engine is adjusted and improved as we go, unless Blizzard hit a massive, complete roadblock before Project Titan is released, and they say, well, let's use this time to rewrite Azeroth and start all over again, then I just don't see the need for a WoW version 2, period. And now we turn to some viewer comments, this time from Facebook, starting with Brendan Walsh. Unless Blizzard successfully transitions WoW's audience to Titan, I think it's more likely that the MMO community will not be as unified ever again. Due to the progress and development of video games, a phenomenon as earth-shattering as WoW would be extremely hard to reproduce. I think it's more likely that you will find the MMO player base scattered between a few major games, but never in the numbers that WoW peaked at now that the sensationalism has worn off. I have a lot of trouble saying MMO. And yes, as Brendan says, when Blizzard first started building WoW, they had no idea what it would turn into. Expansions like Pandaria are only possible so long as the subscriber count remains well above the norm, because they've realized that if we were to fast forward to the final Legion expansion, all the subscribers would drop off and the cash flow would cease. There is a reason WoW was so successful, and it has to do with marketing, just like everything. If you start any lucrative business project or enterprise, you can have the greatest product ever, maybe one that shoots lasers and walks your dog, but if the consumer doesn't want it, then it will not succeed. I repeat, it will not succeed. WoW came along at the right time. It catered to the right audience. It introduced a niche game genre to the mainstream. It's like League of Legends. Dota was an extremely popular Warcraft 3 map, and the creators realized they could turn it into a fully fledged game, i.e., they saw an opportunity in the market, so they took it. The reason LoL is so much bigger than any other MOBA is that it got there first, it came at the right time, it catered to the right audience, it introduced a niche game genre to the mainstream, just like WoW. Brendan is right, WoW's success is near impossible to reproduce, and that is because the MMORPG genre is now saturated with options and companies trying to claim their slice of the financial pie. Unless WoW 2 goes in a whole new direction, it will never replicate WoW's success because that time has passed. Project Titan will only gain WoW's audience, if not smaller, but that's not ideal in the long-term interest of the game. You want it to stand apart, head in a new direction, not stagnate with an overproduced genre. Maybe if WoW 2 acted as an upgrade like Cataclysm and retains the current subscribers, I mean that'd work I guess, but then what if people want to play the old game? See, that's a shaky line. Now let's blaze through the last 3 comments, starting with Andrew Dick. If there will be a WoW 2, we should be able to transfer all characters we have worked so hard on to the new game for free. So while I agree that a sequel should save achievements, accomplishments, and certain rewards, the idea of transferring your main character with all of his stuff to an entirely new game, that does not sit well with me. You'll get a massive advantage over the casual player. I mean, this is why they don't let you keep your PTR character, because otherwise everyone would feel obligated to spend their time in the test realm instead of live servers looking for little exploits and bugs to get these advantages. Even when a game launches, I want people around while I'm leveling. If I'd have logged on to SWTOR the day it launched and there were already thousands of level 50s running around, that's like taking away the new car smell. And if they're only upgrading their engine for WoW 2, not the gameplay, characters or setting, I think that hardly registers as a sequel, more of an upgrade. And now we've got a comment from Superfry. WoW 2 will take place inside Chris Metzen's body. It will require Google Glass. Note, Blizzard will not be responsible for anyone's grandma being mistaken for a world boss or anyone's nutsack being hit like a loot piñata. Major characters and plots: a DPS race against a tongue that bears a strange resemblance to Abathar from StarCraft 2, Mancrick's wife has taken up residence in the spleen and threatens to poison the blood of the whole game world. I thought she was dead. An ogre sits inside a fingernail, spreading disease and fungus. I wish they were a playable class. Since we're using Google Glass, this opens up the possibility of using Starbucks as buff food for real-world cash. Mounts include flying mounts are in, but varies depending on the region the player is from. Because kangaroos. Many plot holes will be present at launch, which will be fixed in a first aid patch. Out of all the comments I researched for this video, this is the most wholesome. Wish I could respond, but I'm drinking. Yeah, that's it for this discussion. The next topic will be, what is WoW's next playable race? So are you a Murloc fan? Could dragon types make their way into Azeroth? Tuskar, has their time come at last? Let me know in the comment box below. That's it. Have a good one. No, have a fantastic one.